Poem and poetry obviously is good, important, significant, authentic, substantial in and of itself without any dependencies or reliances or assistances from any external medium, outside sources, or societal public help, recognition, recommendation of any kind, because poetry is always going to be important, relevant in the future. Also, poetry is always going to have its own sovereignty, differentiation, distinction, individuality, independence, just like it always has had. It will still have these qualities because poetry is finer, more important, significant than both philosophy and history combined, because both philosophy and history are limited, finite, relative, and most importantly, interdependent and contingent upon society, reality, as well as different human beings, different interpretation, understanding, knowledge, philosophy, and history depends upon all that, because everyone understands and interprets and explains history and philosophy differently and in accordance with their own image, mind, education, bias, talent, etc. So obviously philosophy and history both are limited, finite, relative in their own unique ways, which can neither be resolved nor determined by anyone or anything in the world. But poetry is obviously one of the finest mediums of expression and communication of one's or the poet's feelings, emotions, pains, tragedies to the readers or to the other people. Poetry expresses feelings seamlessly. Now, poetry is one of the finest, and not the finest because there is music, there is painting. Music can be considered to be, or music arguably is the finest, most important, refined, powerful medium of expression and communication of our, obviously, not only as audiences, feelings, emotions, pains, but also the composers and the singers' feelings, pains, all those things are also highlighted in music as well as songs in one way or another. But then again, poetry is important. We should write poetry, and in order to write poetry successfully, we need to have imagination, fantasy in our lives. We need to develop imagination. We need to depend upon imaginative, fantastical powers in our lives in one way. Otherwise, we could not write poetry anyways, because poetry is subjective. We need to evolve and apply our subjective faculties and not mental, intellectual faculties. We had to apply, or we just need to apply and exercise our subjective faculties and other internal powers into writing poetry and developing it, because imagination is more important than knowledge. And to write poetry, in poetry, imagination matters, and it matters the most, because without imagination we can neither recollect nor write successfully poetry at all. So poetry is important, but it's not everything, but certainly it's finer than most of the